Blog Talk Radio.
Shalom, Chavarim, shalom. Greetings. This evening right here, Monday. Here, second day of the Shabbat, here after the Passover, Pesach season. So you can just once again adjust and readjust here to the regular sabbatical studies after that fulfillment, that fullness there in the season. Give thanks, brothers and sisters, those who, have fellowship with I or even just tune in for a moment or two. Here we're on the Mondays podcast, and here, beginning this Shabbat here, we have a double portion, a double, 27th and the 28th sabbatical study for Tazria-Metzora. She conceives and one skin disease. In other words, she conceives, that's the 27th sabbatical study for Ki Tazria. When or contextually, when or if, but when she conceives seed Tazria. And then we have the 28th sabbatical for Metzora. Metzora often is translated as Ha-Metzora, as the leper, the Metzora, right? But more correctly, to bring it out into the English, one who is skin disease. We get into the details, but here we have a double portion here as we pick up and resume after the Pesach Passover season, reason for the season. Here with the evening psalm here for the second day of the Shabbat. We're here for the Mondays podcast. We have Psalm 48. 48, according to the royal order of the Ethiopian Hebrews, and here after the order of Melchizedek. Yes, Zion rhythm right here.
Psalm 48. Great is the Lord, and greatly to be praised in the city of our God, in the mountain of his holiness. Beautiful for situation, the joy of the whole earth, is Mount Zion on the sides of the north, the city of the great king. God is known in her palaces for a refuge. For lo, the kings were assembled. They passed by together. They saw it, and so they marveled. They were troubled and hasted away. Fear took hold upon them there, and pain as of a woman in travail. Thou breakest the ships of Tarshish with an east wind. As we have heard, so have we seen in the city of the Lord of hosts, in the city of our God. God will establish it forever. Selah. We have thought of thy loving kindness, O God, in the midst of thy temple. According to thy name, O God, so is thy praise unto the ends of the earth. Thy right hand is full of righteousness. Let Mount Zion rejoice. Let the daughters of Judah be glad because of thy judgments. Walk about Zion and go round about her. Tell the towers thereof. Mark ye well her bulwarks. Consider her palaces, that ye may tell it to the generation following. For this God is our God forever and ever. He will be our guide forever.
መዝሙር 47 በቅንፍ 48 በሁለተኛ ሰንበት የቆሬ ልጆች የምስጋና መዝሙር። እግዚአብሔር ትልቅ ነው፣ በአምላካችን ከተማ በተቀደሰው ተራራ ምስጋናው ብዙ ነው። በሰሜን ወገን በመልካም ስፍራ የቆመ የምድር ሁሉ ደስታ የጽዮን ተራራ ነው። እርሱም የትልቁ ንጉሥ ከተማ ነው። እግዚአብሔር በአዳራሾቿ መጠጊያ ሆኖ ይታወቃል። እነሆ ነገሥታት ተከማችተው በአንድነት መጥተዋል። እነርሱ ሳይተው ተደነቁ፣ ደነገጡ፣ ታወኩ። መንቀጥቀጥ እንደ ወላድ ምጥ በዚያ ያዛቸው። በኃይለኛ ነፋስ የተርሴስን መርከቦች ተሰብራለች። እንደ ሰማን እንዲሁ አየን። በሰራዊት ጌታ ከተማ በአምላካችን ከተማ እግዚአብሔር ለዘላለም ያጸናታል። አምላክ ሆይ በአሕዛብ መካከል ምሕረትህን ተቀበልን። አምላክ ሆይ እንደ ስምህ እንዲሁም እስከ ምድር ዳርቻ ድረስ ምስጋናህ ነው። ቀኝህ ጽድቅን የተሞላች ናት። አቤቱ ስለ ፍርድህ የጽዮን ተራራ ደስ ይበለው። የአይሁድም ሴት ልጆች ሐሴት ያድርጉ። ጽዮንን ክበቧት፣ በዙሪያዋም ተመላለሱ፣ ግንቦቿንም ቁጠሩ፣ በብርታቷ ልባችሁን አኑሩ። አዳራሿን አስቡ፣ ለሚመጣው ትውልድ ትነግሩ ዘንድ። ለዓለምና ለዘላለም ይህ አምላካችን ነው፣ እሱም ለዘላለም ይመራናል።
አንደኛ ከሰኞ እስከ ዓርብ ባሉት ቀኖች ዘወትር የሚባል said on the days from Monday to Friday. ሰላም ላንቺ ይሁን እናታችን ክብርት ቤተ ክርስቲያን፣ ግዳዎችሽ በጳዚዮን ድንቅ የተጌጡ ናቸው። ሰላም ላንቺ ይሁን እናታችን ክብርት ቤተ ክርስቲያን. Peace be to you, our mother, O honorable church. Thy walls are embroidered with topaz. Peace, salam, shalom be to thee, our mother, O honorable church.
Princes shall come out of Egypt. Ethiopia shall soon stretch out her hands unto God. Sing unto God, ye kingdoms of the earth. Oh, sing praises unto the Lord. Selah.
Rastafari. Africa is a must. So nobody post now cause you have to jump on this bus. Zion born, right? Do it.
מזמור מ"ח, שיר מזמור לבני קורח. גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד, בעיר אלוהינו הר קודשו. יפה נוף משוש כל הארץ, הר ציון ירכתי צפון, קריית מלך רב. אלוהים בארמנותיה נודע למשגב, כי הנה המלכים נועדו, עברו יחדיו. המה ראו כן תמהו, נבהלו נחפזו. רעדה אחזתם שם, חיל כיולדה. ברוח קדים תשבר אוניות תרשיש. כאשר שמענו כן ראינו, בעיר אדוני צבאות, בעיר אלוהינו. אלוהים יכונניה עד עולם סלע. דימינו אלוהים חסדך בקרב היכליך. כשמך אלוהים כן תהילתך על קצווי ארץ, צדק מלאה ימינך. ישמח הר ציון, תגלנה בנות יהודה למען משפטיך. שובו ציון והקיפוה, ספרו מגדליה. שיטו לבכם לחילה, פסגו ארמנותיה. למען תספרו לדור אחרון, כי זה אלוהים אלוהינו עולם ועד, הוא ינהגנו על מות.
Psalm 48.
מזמור מ"ח, שיר מזמור לבני קורח.
Great is the Lord, and greatly to be praised in the city of our God, in the mountain of his holiness. Beautiful for situation, the joy of the whole earth, is Mount Zion, on the sides of the north, the city of the great king. God is known in her palaces for a refuge. Although the kings were assembled, they passed by together. They saw it, and so they marveled. They were troubled and hasted away. Fear took hold upon them there, and pain as of a woman in travail. Thou breakest the ships of Tarshish with an east wind. As we have heard, so have we seen in the city of the Lord of hosts, in the city of our God. God will establish it forever. Selah. We have thought of thy loving kindness, O God, in the midst of thy temple. According to thy name, O God, so is thy praise unto the ends of the earth. Thy right hand is full of righteousness. Let Mount Zion rejoice. Let the daughters of Judah be glad because of thy judgments. Walk about Zion and go round about her. Tell the towers thereof. Mark ye well her bulwarks. Consider her palaces, that ye may tell it to the generation following. For this God is our God forever and ever. He will be our guide forever, 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 forever. Ethiopia, 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 Ethiopia.
And it's a life when I promote the heights of level. So the burn them evil concept of that is a destruction to the humanity. So me say, what do I put on now? Hey, check this, look. Jaja city, Jaja town, them off it on it in a cowboy town. We look and low. Jaja city, Jaja town, them off it on it in a dead man town. We look and low. Mr. John Conjack of Vision Brown. We now are no more than in a town. Mr. Happy Gospel of Kitty got happy out. We now are no more dead body. Well, Mr. Joe kill quick. We don't want no more hit. We don't want no more grape. We don't want no more casket. Well, life we promote it is righteousness. Start don't get a lick. We don't look and go. Jaja city, Jaja town. They want to turn it in a cold white town. We don't look and go. Bloody city, bloody town. Or turn it in a rude white town. We don't look and go. Them a tell me how them call. Big 45 fish shoot out them brother mole. No pass them cold like up at the North Pole. So them shoot down the hung, shoot down the hole, shoot down the puss and the dog on the pole. Every weekend them take a next payroll. Out of one bucket them shoot out the pole. This Marcus Yakin now head off the roll. Look at now. Jaja city, Jaja town, them off it on it in a cowboy town. Look at now. Jaja city, Jaja town, them off it on it in a dead man town. Them think them is the ultimate, yo, but them no reach nowhere yet. Them get caught in the internet. For society, I tell me them my intellect, them promote too much debt. Look at now. Jaja city, Jaja town, them a turn it in a bad man town. Look at now. Jaja city, Jaja town, them off it on it in a cowboy town. Want to carry the same 10 miles out of the city. It a go get too smitty. One is a John amigo, one Miss Mitty. One all the shot amigo, one all the hitty. No for them chill man without pity. Wrong kind of sick me, I'll go catch them a sippy. Shoot them, licky, them sicky. Rastafari, judgment, we slew all. Yo, Jaja city, Jaja town, them not on it in a cowboy town. Look at you, bloody city, bloody town. So the children are rude boy town. Aye, them niggas shut down in the east. Tell them to hold the peace. We don't want no more couple, we don't want no more eat.
Ye Ethiopians also, ye shall be slain by my sword, 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 my. Ye Ethiopians also, ye shall be slain by my sword, slain by my sword, slain by. Ye Ethiopians also.
Still Hard Music.
One civilization is not complete without its art, the highest form of expression of human intelligence. You have become complacent, sitting down and allowing the other nations to run away with everything. You have become a bunch of consumers. You are creators. Rise up, mighty people, accomplish what you will. With a confidence you're twice defeated in the race of life.
Let's look away the voices that gave the people pride. Now we're plunging into darkness. We all have to play our part, make a bold start. Every disc, tell every artist. Media houses, we notice, still have supporters like this. How so much alcohol in our parties. While the girls are broke out and there's a bubble, she drink, knock her out. Now she don't care with them crap her up. It's times like these, some missing our ego. Times like these, I really wish they were around. Instead of that to feel like this, my God, Gavin. We know that you try your best, but we have to do the rest. They're afraid of the shot at them, now we have a lot of them. Press up, back up, now the grave them a go back again. Them rock the national bird wing. Sell we out clean, me no think we own a damn thing. Jam rock why we giving in to the trick where them a trick we from the beginning. Parents you need to wake up from the slumber, release with children, blood them is running. It's so some missing our ego. It's hard music. I really wish they were around. Shouldn't have to be like this. My money, you know you'll never die in vain. We gonna rise again. Hey, for you this holy bell be promise till it's well. Nobody now go hear it, you know yellow. Listen what them tell you about the bucket where go well. Black woman put on your baggy, that's something they don't keep still. Also we get big what them suffer just they go well. Go ask them and who put the crab in a barrel. BM opposition do not done with the barrel. Unite, come together, see the people out with chill. It's some missing our ego. I really wish they were around. Shouldn't have to be like this. Oh, Miss Lou, we need you. At the first me heard that is hundreds and counting on the word that is saluted. Let's look away the voices that gave the people pride. Now we're plunging into darkness. We all have to play our part, make a bold start. Every disc, tell every artist. Me now, you know, this can support the slack. There's so much alcohol in our parties. While the girls are broke out and there's a bubble, she drink, knock her out. Now she don't care with them crap her up. It's so things I'm missing our hero. Things I really wish they were around. We need you, we need you, we need you, Sam Sharp. We need you, we need you, we need you, Daddy. Yeah, it's so exciting. Some missing our hero. So exciting. I really wish they were around. Shouldn't have to be like this. My God,
you know, we have ones that's a Rastafari, live in the city, Kingston City, Manhattan, like you know, we live amongst our universal brothers and sisters, and Rastafari is for each and every one. So it's not this weird thing where you have to live in the forest, no. But you have ones that live in the forest and they hold an order for the ones like I who can come in now and hold a meds and come to these places and remove ourselves from that type of way and still confine our brothers in the midst of the jungle as well as in the city. Exactly. So it's a brotherhood throughout universe. Yeah. iPhones included, cameras included, cars included, planes, palace, huts, rivers, ocean, the whole thing. Huh?
And the thing about it was is that Rastafari is not a cult. Yes? No. So we're not looking for more followers to say, hey, everyone has to come and be Rastafari. No, we're looking at people and their heart.
We are all about love. Roots and culture and the teaching of His Majesty. Roots. No one talk about roots. Roots. and culture, no cultists. Yes, I come out of Babylon.
For her sins have reached unto heaven, that ye be not partakers of her sins. Come out of her, my people. Come out of her, my people. Come out of her, my people, my people, my people, my people, my people, my people, my people. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, my people, my people, my people, my people. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, come out of her, come out of her, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. Ye receive not of her plagues. Ye receive not of her plagues. Not of her plagues. Not of her plagues.
We refused to be what you wanted us to be. We are what we are. That's the way it's going to be. If you don't know, you can't educate us for no equal opportunity. Talking about my freedom, people freedom and liberty. Yeah, we've been starting on the wine press much too long. Rebel, yes, we've been trying on the wine press much too long. Rebel. Babylon system is a vampire. Yeah. Sucking the children day by day. Yeah. Mr. The Babylon system is a vampire. Falling empire. Looking the blood of the sufferer. Yeah. Building church and university. Oh, yeah. Deceiving the people continually. Yeah. Mr. Graduates, thieves and murderers. Look out now, they're sucking the blood of the sufferers. Yeah. Tell the children the truth. Tell the children the truth. Tell the children the truth right now. Come on, yeah. Tell the children the truth. 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 Come on and tell the children the truth. Cause we've been trying on your wine press much too long. Rebel, and we've been taken for granted much too long. Rebel, tried it on your wine press. Back to rebellion. We've been trying it on the wine press much too long. Yeah, 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 yeah. From the very top,
For her sins have reached unto heaven, that ye be not partakers of her sins. Come out of her, my people. Come out of her, my people. Come out of her, my people, my people, my people, my people, my...
I feel like black people should develop themselves, you know. And, you know, all it needs is people who keep it down for either die out of the earth or something.
What is your feeling about the condition of black people here in the United States? What is your feeling about the condition of black people here in the United States? What is your feeling about the condition of black people here in the United States?
I feel like black people should develop themselves, you know, not to settle then this developing of yourself having a prejudice thing to it. It's just that we are people with our own history and culture. We can educate ourselves. I mean, we are the first creators. So we have to really, everything we see on this earth, yeah, the black man make it. And I'm saying that the white man don't make some, but all wisdom comes from the black man.
You know, a lot of young viewers look up to you and are going to want to hang on every word and every syllable. Do you have a message for young people?
Well, you know, the whole thing again is to really check out the truth of Rasta and don't make like follies. Don't make it check it out. And don't get too busy that you can't check out the truth. Because the truth is there. And Africa awaits its creators. And we know that the people in the West, headwise, them ready, you know. Them have to learn, come learn. What them learning in the West, them have to carry it home to them people. Make it be a benefit to the people. Because, I mean, how long must the black people suffer? And these are people, you know. And then we have our own culture. We have everything. We don't short anything. We have everything. Plus, we have a land that no one is living there. And we must go home to it. And when you go home, you can build all of these big buildings if you want. I mean, if you miss a city, build a city. You know what I mean? If you want a car, you can get a car. I mean, I don't see the big thing. One time America was, you know what I mean? Maybe used to have lots of all where I call it, all sort of thing I walk through. Africa is a peaceful place. They want to fool black people about the jungle and blah, blah, boom, boom.
Where have you been in Africa besides Ethiopia?
Zimbabwe.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Gabon.
How did Zimbabwe strike you?
Yeah, you know, Zimbabwe nice, man. Zimbabwe really nice. I mean, you know, it's like a paradise in a place. You know, when you go in and see it, it's beautiful.
How did the people react to you?
People's great. Yeah, people good. You know, them places when you go and you see how the people and how the land set up, you see people living. You see a man having mouse on a nice piece. And then the whole thing about it, the climate, you can go out all the while. You know, the climate nice outside.
Yeah.
If you want to look on a few lions and things, you can walk and go. And if you want to see some things that man never make, but it look like somebody make it, that's all Zimbabwe too. Because I go in a place and I see some stone farm, where I know it's not the man make it, but the weight farm, you know, is higher than something.
It's really been a pleasant and informative experience talking to you, Brother Marley.
Nice.
I thank you for your time.
I
wish you well.
Pass that.
Bob, is the message of Rastafari that you should go back to Africa?
Yes, and that the earth must rule by Africa. Forward. One government. Forward, not back, forward.
Yeah, go forward to Africa,
yeah,
not back. Do you think that will ever happen? Do you really believe that will happen?
Yes.
Nine Iron say greetings in the name of the mighty King, and I am played by the King of his eye. Bringing iron south to place iron responsibility to dreadlock.
Forward that. Forward ever.
Nine Iron say greetings in the name of the mighty King, and I am played by the King of his eye. Bringing iron south to place iron responsibility to dreadlock. Yes. Oh, well. The promised land. Moving to the promised land. Yes, the promised land. Oh gosh, now to the promised land. Yeah. Imagine Ghana like California with Sunset Boulevard. Johannesburg would be Miami. Somalia like New York with the most pretty light. The toughest pretty car. Every New Year the African Times Square lock off. Imagine Lagos like Las Vegas. The ballers them a ball. Angola like Atlanta. A pure plane take off. Bush Gardens in a Mali. Chicago in a Chad. Magic Kingdom in a Egypt. Lily Delta in Sudan. The Congo like Colorado, Fort Knox in Japan. People living in Morocco like the state of Oregon. Algeria warmer than Arizona. Bring your sun lotion. Early morning class of yoga on the beach in Senegal. Ethiopia, the capital, be the congregation. A place how I belong, a day the king come from. I can see us all in the river that you want to see us. Standing on the king highway. The promised land, oh, be the promised land, oh God, yeah, the promised land, yeah, the promised land, promised land, I picture Porsches, Basquiat portraits, pinky rings, realistic princesses, heiresses, bunch of kings and queens. Plus, I picture portraits for kids out in Port-au-Prince. Powerless, they not allowed to fit, but not about to slip. Vision promised land with fashion like Madison Ave, Manhattan, Saks Fifth Avenue, Rodeo, relaxing, popping labels, promised lands, no fables. This where the truth's told. Use them two holes above your nose to see the proof, yo. Imagine a contraption that could take us backwards. The world was run by black men. Back to the future, anything could happen. If these are the last days and 100-foot waves come crashing down, I get some half, some pounds, pass around some buzz and watch the flood. Can't stop apocalypse. My synopsis is catastrophic. If satellites is causing earthquakes, will we survive it? Honestly, man, it's the sign of the times and the times at hand. There's a lot of work to be done. Who got in the promised land? Yeah, talking about the promised land. Oh gosh, get me to the promised land. The promised land. Oh, the promised land. The promised land. Oh, there's plenty of land for you and I, by and by. Lots of food to share for everyone. So that's a great tradition in the promised land. It's the promised land. The promised land. Moving to the promised land. Oh. There's a lot of work to be done, oh God, in the promised land.
I said, won't you go out of the house, nigga, Jasper? What? Jasper, don't you want freedom? We going to promised land. What? Promised land? What? Cleveland? No, Jasper. Baltimore? No, Jasper, the promised land. What? Oh, the promised land. Minnesota?
The path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by the inequities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men.
So we always need more chizuk. The Mod tells us that one of the things that we need help in strengthening is a tefillah. So one may ask, How can I keep myself motivated for tefillah? How can I keep myself motivated to pray to God? I see things that I'm not getting answered. It's very hard. Sometimes I'm just not feeling it. And first off, this comes from a person having to know how big tefillah really is and what's on the other side of it. You have to understand that a lot of times when we meet a lot of resistance in something that is so huge and something that's so big, you have to understand that the other side knows the Sitra Achra, the Satan, the devil, the whatever you want to call it. The other side of resistance already knows how important prayer actually is. So what do you think? That it's going to be one of the main places that a person is going to have to experience that battle, that fight. But what should strengthen the person is that they should already know, they should be able to judge it by how hard it is for them to do it, that they're able to know how big this thing really is. So that should be motivation for everybody. Rashi himself says that when it says in the Gemara and the Brachos, so that there are things that stand at the height of the world. It says, this is tefillah, this is prayer. Stands at the height of the world, but it's disrespected the most. People don't take it serious. They don't understand that on the other side of this, it's not a maybe. I'm telling you this, especially on the things that are ruchnis, things that are spiritual. It's not maybe. Hashem will save the person. It's going to be dependent on how much emunah you have and how much betachon you have, how much trust that you have in your prayers. That's what's going to depend on you being saved or not. So that should be the chiddush. I see that it's very, very hard for me to pray, for me to open up and to be able to say whatever. I can't feel Hashem. Hashem feels far from me. You should know that in that moment right now, you're facing the biggest resistance because the biggest prize is on the other side of that. So we should all strengthen ourselves with the feeling of that Hashem.
The path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men.
Here we have today's daily psalm. We have Psalm 6. O Lord, rebuke me not in thine anger, neither chasten me in thy hot displeasure. Have mercy upon me, O Lord, for I am weak. O Lord, heal me, for my bones are vexed. My soul is also sore vexed. But thou, O Lord, how long? Return, O Lord, deliver my soul. O save me for thy mercy's sake. For in death there is no remembrance of thee. In the grave, who shall give thee thanks? I am weary with my groaning. All the night make I my bed to swim. I water my couch with my tears. Mine eye is consumed because of grief. It waxeth old because of all mine enemies. Depart from me, all ye workers of iniquity, for the Lord hath heard the voice of my weeping. The Lord hath heard my supplication. The Lord will receive my prayer. Let all mine enemies be ashamed and sore vexed. Let them return and be ashamed, and be ashamed, suddenly, 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 suddenly,
Shalom again, shalom, Chaverim. Here we have today's daily psalm. We have Mizmor, wow. Mizmor Vav, Mizmor wow. Psalm 6. Mizmor wow. Mizmor Vav. For the leader, with string music on the Shemanith, the 8th. Here, today's psalm. Psalm 6. Mizmor wow. Mizmor Wahweh, also called Mizmor Vav. Here, a Midrash study on today's psalm. Mizmor wow. Lamnatseach, be a neginot, al ha shemanit. Lamnatseach, for the leader. La menatseach, for the chief musician. La menatseach, for the overcomer. Be neginot, with string music upon string music. Be Niginot, Binginot, all upon Hashemini, all Hashemini, on the 8th, on the Sheminit, Ha-Sheminit, Lamnatzeyach, the Niginot, al Hashemini, Zehu Shamar Hakatu. This verse is to be read in the light, in the illumination of what Scripture says elsewhere. Even in Psalm 119, Hebraically the 164th verse that reads, 7 times a day do I praise thee. 7 times a day do I praise the I, says the I. Sheva bayom hilaltika. Sheva bayom hilaltika. Do I praise, do I exalt, praise the I. Sheva bayom hilaltika. And here, Midrash notes on today's Psalm, Mizmor Vav, Psalm 6. Here, 5 explanations of Sheva Bayom Hilaltika. 7 times a day do I praise thee, the I, male, will be cited here. The last of which, Rav Meir, bears on the word Sheminit, bears on the word 8. Here, 5 explanations of Sheva Bayom Hilaltika. Sheva, 7. Bayom, in the Yom, in the day. Hilaltika, do I praise the I. Rav Yehoshua ben Lewi, Rav Joshua ben Levi taught, 7 times a day do I praise the I. Here from Psalm 119, Hebraically the 164th verse, from Mizmor Kof Yod 8, Psalm CXIX, Psalm 119. Here, bringing out this verse, Sheva Bayom Hilaltika. Rav Yehoshua ben Lewi taught, Sheva Bayom Hilaltika. 7 times a day do I praise the I, refers to the 7 prayers, the 7 Hebraic, Judaic prayers. 1, quote, who formeth light. 2, quote, with abounding love. 3, quote, hear, O Israel. 4, quote, it shall come to pass if ye shall hearken diligently. 5, quote, the Lord spoke to Moshe. 6, quote, true and firm. 7, quote, blessed art thou who hast redeemed Yisrael. All 7 being obligatory every day, morning and evening, in the saying of the Shema. Here. And here, Midrash note. Here, C, referred to the APB, the Authorized Prayer Book. Here, for these 7 prayers. And here in the Seder, for the Tefillat Shacharit, here the 7 prayers. The first, who formeth light, Yotzir Or, who formeth light. In the first, Baruch Atah Yahweh Eloheinu Melech HaOlam, Yotzir Or, Blessed art thou, Jehovah, I, our power. Baruch atah Yahweh Eloheinu, Melech HaOlam, King of the universe, universal King, Yotzir Or, who formeth light, Uborei Choshek, and createth darkness. Osei Shalom, who maketh peace, Uborei et Hakol, and createth all things, and createth all. So the first of the 7 prayers that Arav Yehoshua ben Lewi he cites in connection with Shabbat, Bayom Hilatika, 7 times a day do I praise I. The first, who formeth light, or Yotzir, formeth or light, Yotzir or. The second, with abounding love, with abounding love. Here in the Seder, in the APB, Authorized Prayer Book, in the Seder, Ahava Rabba, with abounding love. Ahava Rabba, Ahabtanu, with abounding love hast thou loved us, loved I and I, Yahweh Eloheinu, O Jehovah, our power, our God, our Elohim. Ahava Rabba. Second, with abounding love, Ahava Rabba. And third, hear, O Israel, Shema, Yisrael. Hear, O Yisrael, Shema, Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad. Hear, O Yisrael, he who be, we be, our power, he who be, we be, the one. Shema, Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad. Hear the third, Shema, Yisrael. The fourth, it shall come to pass, if y'all shall hearken diligently. Hear, with Haya in Shamoah Tishmeu. It shall come to pass if y'all shall hearken diligently, with Haya in Shamoah Tishmeu. So here, the fourth, it shall come to pass if ye shall hearken diligently, with Haya in Shamoah Tishmeu. And the fifth, the Lord spoke to Moshe. The fifth, and the Lord spoke to Moshe. Vayomer Yahuwah el Moshe Lemor. And Jehovah spake to Moses, saying, Vayomer Yahuwah el Moshe Lemor. The fifth, Jehovah spoke to Moses. The sixth, true and firm. Emet with Yatzib. Emet with Yatzib. True and firm. Emet with Yatzib. True and firm. And the seventh, blessed art thou, who hast redeemed Yisrael. The seventh, blessed art thou, the I, who hast redeemed Yisrael. Baruch atah Yahuwah Gaal Yisrael. Baruch atah Yahuwah Gaal Yisrael. Blessed art thou, Yahuwah Jehovah, who has redeemed Yisrael. Baruch atah Yahuwah Gaal Yisrael. all 7 being obligatory every day, morning and evening, in the saying of the Shema, Shema. However, because wearing knotted fringes is not obligatory in the evening, nor is the recital of the prayer prescribing them, namely the prayer, quote, the Lord spoke to Moshe, the Lord spoke to Moses. Therefore, the prayer, quote, cause us, O Lord our God, to lie down in peace, is said instead. This prayer on a Sabbath or on a festal eve ends with, quote, blessed art thou, Baruch atah, who spreadest the tabernacle of peace. And on the eve of an ordinary day with Baruch atah, blessed art thou, who guardest thy people Yisrael. So here, today's Psalm, Mizmor Wow, Mizmor Vav. Here, get a good Seder book, the APB Authorized Prayer Book, the Seder book, the Yehudi Liturgy book. Right here, today's Psalm, a key Psalm here in the Midrash and the studies. Here, Ani Lechozir, I repeat, it says, however, because wearing knotted fringes is not obligatory in the evening, in the Erev, nor is the recital of the prayer prescribing them. Namely, so we have here the prayer, and this here is the 5th. We have the 5th of the 7th, where it says, and Adonai spake to Moses, saying, Vayomer Adonai el Moshe lemor, or here according to the Ketib, what is written, Vayomer Yahuwah el Moshe lemor, and Jehovah spake to Moses, saying. So here it says in Midrash for Mizmor Wow, Mizmor Vav, it says, however, because wearing knotted fringes is not obligatory in the evening, nor is the recital of the prayer prescribing them, namely, the Lord spake to Moses, Vayomer Yahuwah el Moshe. Therefore, the prayer, cause us, O Lord our God, to lie down in peace, is said. Now, here in looking to the Aravit, right here to the evening service, here we have Ha Shekevenu Adonai Eloheinu Le Shalom, cause us, Yahuwah Jehovah Eloheinu, our Elohim, our power, to lie down, to lay down in peace. Hashikavenu, Yahuwah Eloheinu, Lishalom. Hashikavenu, cause us to lay down, Yahuwah. Here in the Seder, the Siddur, has Yihya, as we say, the Jaja, right? For we, Rastafari, Yehudim, right? Jaja, in that sense there, pointed for reverence to the Hashem. Hashikabenu, Yahuwah Eloheinu Lishalom. Cause us, O Jehovah, our power, our Elohim, to lay down in peace, is said instead of Vayomer Yahuwah el Moshe lemor, which we have in the Tefillat Shacharit, in the Aravit, the evening service, we say instead, Hashikivenu Yahuwah Eloheinu Le Shalom. Here. Instead, this prayer on a Sabbath, on a Shabbat, that is Lechol, fine, and that is during the, we say, during the weekdays, but on a Shabbat or a festival a festival eve, it ends with, blessed art thou who spreadest the tabernacle of peace. Blessed art thou who spreadeth the tabernacle of peace. So here. And here in the Siddur, the Seder, because we have here another Midrash note pointing to the APB, the Authorized Prayer Book, and pointing to this note here for Baruch Ata Yahuwah Ha-Poreis Sukkot Shalom Aleinu. We all call Amo Yisrael. We all Yerushalayim. Blessed art thou, O Jehovah, who spreadest the tabernacle of peace over us, over Ainai, and over all thy people, Yisrael, Israel, and over Jerusalem, Yerushalayim. Baruch Ata Yahuwah Ha-Poreis Sukkot Shalom Aleinu. We all call Amo Yisrael. We all Yerushalayim. And on the eve, the Erev of an ordinary, on the eve of an ordinary day, here it ends with, blessed art thou who guardest thy people Yisrael. So going through the Siddur, we just went to the Sabbath and the festival service, going to the Siddur for the Arabit Lechol, right, for the evening service during like the weekdays. Here we have Baruch Ata Yahuwah Shomer Amo Yisrael La'ad. Blessed art thou, Baruch Ata Yahuwah Jehovah Hashem Shomer, who guardest, the guarder, Shomer Amo, guardest the people, guardest his people here, Amo, his people, Yisrael, Israel, La'ad, forever. Baruch Ata Yahuwah Shomer Amo Yisrael La'ad. So for all these berkot, these benedictions, these blessings, these points of reference, refer to the APB, Authorized Prayer Book, known as the Siddur, right? The prayer book. And I Authorized Yehudi Prayer Book. 7 times a day do I praise thee, Shabbat, Bayom Hilaltika, Shabbat, Bayom Hilaltika. 7 times a day, Shabbat, Bayom, or some enunciate as Shabbat, Bayom Hilaltika, Shabbat, Bayom Hilaltika. 7 times a day do I praise Hilaltika, Hilal, Tehillim, the exaltation, Tehillim. Also, this refers to the 7 benedictions, the 7 berkot, the 7 benedictions, concluding the several tefillot prayers said in Ha-Shema, in the Shema. For in a Mishnah, we learn in the morning, 2 benedictions are said before Ha-Shema, before the Shema, and 1 benediction is said after it. And in the evening, 2 benedictions are said before it, 2 blessing berkot are said before it, and 2 benediction berkot are said after it. Thus, there are Sheva, there are 7. And also refer to berkot 1 and 4, berkot as well. So, 7 times a day, Shabbat, Bayom Hilaltika, do I praise the Yah, Hilaltika, may also refer to the 7 times a day, Sheva Bayom, that he who conducts the service, the avoda, recites the Kaddish, the Kaddish. And also here referred to a good Siddur, authorized prayer book where you'll find the Kaddish for the one who conducts the avoda, the service, reciting the Kaddish. Of Sheva Bayom Hilatika, of 7 times a day do I praise thee. Rav Abin said, this refers to the 7 religious duties that a man is obliged to perform every day. This refers to the 7 religious duties that a man is obliged to perform every day. What are they? The recitation of Ha-Shema, of the Shema, twice during the day. The recitation of the Shemona Esrei, the 18 benedictions, 3 times during the day. And the recitation of grace after meals, morning and evening. Thus, there are Sheva, there are Shabbat, there are 7. So, the 7 religious, righteous duties that a man is obliged to perform every day are the recitation of the Shema twice during the day, the recitation of the Shemona Esrei, and the Shemona Esrei, here, bringing forward the Midrash note, or the Tefillah, the Shemona Esrei, the 18 benedictions, the 18 blessings, is referred to as a tefillah, prayer, and also is referred to as the Amidah, the standing prayers. So the recitation of Ha-Shema, the Shema twice during the day, the recitation of the Shemona Esrei 3 times during the day, and the recitation of grace after meals, morning and evening, thus totaling there are 7. There are Sheva. Finally, Rav Meir used to say, when a man wears the tefillin up on Rosho, his head, and upon Zoro, his arm, as prescribed, his left arm as prescribed, his 4 knotted fringes enclose him on all 4 sides. And here, Midrash note right here on all 4 sides, here in the Midrash note, and in the man's flesh there is the mark of the covenant. Here, a parallel version as well in the Toseta Barakot, and the end of chapter 6 for the point of reference on all 4 sides, this quote here. And in the man's flesh, there is the mark of Habari, there's the mark of the covenant. And when, as he enters Beito, his home, there is a mezuzah at the entrance. You find that 7 testimonies of his fear, his reverence, yirato, his reverence of Ha'elohim, the power, surround him like a wall. It was of such a man that David said, even in the 34th Psalm, Hebraically at the 8th verse, Dawood said, the angel of the Lord encampeth round about them that fear, that reverence, that respect him, and delivereth them. Choneh malach Yahweh sariv li reayo y halitzain. And the angel of Jehovah encampeth, choneh, encampeth malach, the angel Yahweh of Jehovah, choneh malach Yahweh, sabib, round about, sabib, li reav, vaya halzein, around about them that reverence, li reayo, that reverence him, li reav, and delivereth them. Why halzein? Choneh malaki Yahuwah saviv, li reayo, why halzein? And here, additional midrash notes, he delivers from chatiyat, from sin, from uckery, from forfeiture, from lack, those who perform the prescribed religious, the prescribed righteous acts. Compare the minchat bikurim on the Toseta Barakot, the end of chapter 6. And when this man goes into a bathhouse and looks at himself, he says, quote, here I am, stripped of all the testimonies of the Yirat HaElohim, Hailahim, the testimonies of the reverence, the testimonies of the respect of the power, end quote. But then he sees upon himself the testimony of circumcision that equals all the other testimonies, and his mind is set at rest. Thinking of circumcision, David said, I shall compose a psalm, a mizmor, a chant, an intonation, Isis, concerning it for the leader with string music on the 8th, Sheminit, Lamanatseach, Bia Niginot, Al Ha-Sheminit, Lamanatseach, for the leader, the chief musician, the Menatseach, the overcomer, Lamnatseach, Be Niginot, with string music, upon string music, the Niginot, Be Niginot, Al Ha-Sheminit, on the Sheminit, Al Ha-Sheminit, that is, on the 8th testimony, Al Ha-Sheminit, circumcision, that is performed on the 8th day. Precious is circumcision for Hakadosh Baruch Hu, for the Holy One, blessed be He, made a berit, a covenant with Abraham. He cut a covenant, a berit, with Abraham, that any man who is circumcised will not go down into Gehenna, as is said even in Bereshit, Genesis chapter 15, verse 18, that reads, in that day the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, to thy seed have I given this land. In that day the Lord, Yahweh Jehovah, made a covenant with Abram, saying, to thy seed, thy race, thy seed, have I given this land. Bayom hahu karat Yahweh et Avram berita lemor lezarecha natati et haaretz. In that day Jehovah made a covenant with Abram. Bayom hahu karat Yahweh et Avram berit, saying, lemor, to thy seed have I given this land. Lizareka natati et haaretz. And here the Midrash note here on Mizmor Vav, the preceding verse from Bereshit, Genesis chapter 15, which reads, "And it came to pass that when the sun went down, and there was thick darkness, behold, a smoking furnace and a flaming torch that passed between these pieces." This here is taken to refer to Gehenna, Gehenna, Hebrew hell, as against Gehenna, Gehenom, this land, Haaretz Hazot, Bayom Hahu Karat Yahuwah et Avrama Berita Lemor Le Zareka Natati et Haaretz Hazot, this land. So here, pointing to the preceding verse that reads, "And it came to pass that when the sun went down, and there was thick darkness, behold, a smoking furnace and a flaming torch that passed between these pieces." This verse here is taken to refer to Gehenna, Gehenna. As against Gehenna, we have Haaretz Hazot. This land is to be given to the seed, the race of Avram, the seed of Abram. Wayihi Hashemesh Ba Wa Elata Haya Wihine Tanur Ashan with Lapid Eisha Shera Avar Bain Ha Gizarim Hael. And it came to pass, Wayihi, that when the sun went down, Hashemesh Ba'ah, and there was thick darkness. Wa Elata Haya, behold, Wihine, a smoking furnace, Tanur Ashan, and a flaming torch, with Lapid Aish, that Asher pass, Avar, that pass between Bain, these pieces, Ha Gizari Ha'el. Wayihi Hashemesh Ba Wa Elata Haya Wihine Tanur Ashan Will Lapid Aish Asher Abar Bain Ha Gizarim Ha'el. Who will go down into Gehenna? Gehenom. Who will go down into Hebrew hell? Gehenna. The uncircumcised, the goyim, the heathen, the Gentiles. As noted in the following verse, even in Bereshit, in Genesis chapter 15, verses 19 to 21, the Kenite, the Kenizzite, and the Cadmonite, etc., etc. And see what Ezekiel says to Egypt. See what Chizkel says to Mitzrayim, even in Ezekiel 32, verses 18 and 19, that reads, "To the nether parts of the earth, go down and be thou laid with the uncircumcised." To the nether parts of the earth, go down and be thou the eye laid with the uncircumcised. And here Ezekiel, Ezekiel chapter 32, the full of verses 18 and 19. Ben Adam, Nehe Allah, Hemona Mitzrayim, with Horidei Huotah, Uavenota Goyima Derima Ella Ereta Tachetiot, Eta Yordei Vor, Son of Man, Ben Adam. Wail for the multitude of Egypt. Nehe Allah Himona Mitzrayi, and cast them down with Horidei Hu Otaha, and cast them down, even her Otaha, with the daughters of the mighty nations. Uvenot Goyim Madari, to the nether parts of the earth. Il Eretza Tachetiyot, with into the pit. Et your day bor, et your day bor. Ben Adam Aneheya Allah Himona Mitzrayi, we Horidei Hu Otaha, Uvenota Goyim Adarima Il Eretza Tachetiyot, et your day bor. Mimi na amta rida we hashikava eta ereli, whom dost thou pass in beauty? Mimi na amta, mimi from who? Me, from who? Me na amta, whom dost thou pass in beauty? Rida, we hashikaba, eta erlain, go down, rida, and be thou laid, we hashikaba, with the uncircumcised, et erlain, mimia naamta, Rida we hashikava eta ereli, the uncircumcised ereli. And Isaiah said, even in Isaiah 5:14, therefore the netherworld hath enlarged her desire and opened her mouth for him that is without a seal. Here, Yeshayahu, Isaiah chapter 5, verse 14, Isaiah said, therefore the netherworld hath enlarged her desire and opened her mouth for him that is without a seal. Lachen hirchiva shiol nashaha ua fa'era fiyaha livli hok. Therefore the netherworld hath enlarged her desire. Lachen hirchiva shiol nafshaha, her desire, literally the word for soul, bringing out the sense of her appetite, nafsha, to swallow those killed by the invader in the context of Yeshayahu. Laken hirachiva shiol nafshaha ua fa'era fiha libli hok, and opened her mouth, u fa'era fiha, her mouth, libli hok, without measure. Better sense of without limit. And the netherworld here, Sheol. Laken hirchiba Sheol nafshaha uafa'era fiha livli hok. And here, Midrash note, in the Yehudi, the JV, the Yehudi version, and open her mouth without measure. Here in the Midrash, open her mouth for him that is without a seal. So the Midrash note right here, hok. So we have livli hok, without measure, or here Hebraically in the Hebrew, hok may mean here either measure, livli hok, without measure, or seal, hawk can mean seal. Li hawk, without a seal. That is to say, quote, for him upon whose flesh there is no seal of habrit, of the covenant. Whence, from where do we know that circumcision is called a seal? That circumcision is called a seal, here in the sense of hawk, a seal, because it is said even in Psalm 105, Hebraically the 10th verse, the covenant that he made with Abraham and his oath to Isaac, he established to Jacob as a seal, to Israel as an everlasting and eternal covenant. And here, Mizmor Kof Hey, Mizmor Kof Hey, Psalm 105, Psalm CV. Here, actually beginning Hebrew, the 9th verse, 9th and the 10th verse. Asher karat et Abraham, ua shibuato le Yishak, that he made the covenant, Asher karat, that which he cut, karat, the berit that he karat, the covenant that he made with Abraham, Asher karat et Abraham, u shibuato, and the oath shibuato to Isaac, le Yishak, waya imidei ha le Yaakov le hok, and he established it, waya imidei ha, and he caused her to stand, waya imidei ha le Yaakov, to Jacob le hok, for a statute, for a hok, for a seal, le hok, le Yisrael berit olam, to Yisrael, le Yisrael berit, covenant olam, forever, berit olam, asher krat et Abraham, u shivato ale Yisahak, waya imidei ha le Yaakov le hok, le Yisrael berit olam. But heretics, minim, and apostates who renounce the root of the world, shoresh ha-olam, the root of the world, that is HaKadosh Baruch Hu, will be cast into Gehenna. For, as Psalm 55, Hebrew 21st verse says, God hath put forth his hand against them that were at peace with him. He hath profaned his covenant. Here, point of reference to the minim, the heretics and the apostates who renounce Shoresh ha-olam, the root of the world, that is HaKadosh, the Holy One, the set apart, the sanctified, the Isla One, Baruch Hu, blessed be he, will be cast into Gehenna. And here, Mizmor Non Hey, Psalm 55, Psalm LV. Here, the 20th and the 21st verse is quoted, but the context, the two verses here. Yishma El, where Ya'inam, where Yoshev Edem, Selah, Asherein, Khalifot Lamo, with law, Yaru Elohim, El shall hear the power of the Almighty, Yishma El, with Ya'inam, the Ya'inam, with Ya'inam, and humble them, with Yoshev Edem, Selah, even he that is enthroned of old, with Yoshev enthroned, Edem, of the Kedem of old Selah. Pause. Asher Ein Khalifota Lamo, such as have no changes, with Lo Yahu Elohim, and fear not and reverence not and respect not Elohim, respect not the power. Shalach Yadayo Bi Shelomayo Chilela Berito, he has put forth his hands. Shalach Yadayo, Shalach Yadav, Shalach Yadayo, sent forth Shalach Yadai, his hand Yadav. Bi Shelomayo, Bishlomayo, Bishlomayo, against them that were at peace with him. Chilel, Chilel, profane, Chilel, profane, Berito, Shlach Yadayo, Bishlomo, Chilela Berito. And here, two Midrash notes right here on Psalm 55, the 21st verse quoted. We read the 20th verse because here in the Midrash has God, ... has put forth his hand. So we have El, ... to the next verse, the 21st verse, Shalach Yadav, Shalach Yadav, put forth Yadav, modern Hebrew Yadav, ancient pointing Yadav, his hand. Here, Midrash note, compare the Ginsburg edition of the Tehillim, the Psalms, that cites a reading, his hand, as against the Masoretic version, his hands. So we have Yadayo, right, and Yado, Yadayo. So we have in the Ginsburg edition of the Tehillim, it cites his hand, and the Masoretic version, Yadayo, his hands, bring out a sense of his hand against them that were at peace with him. He hath profaned his covenant. El, here's the next comment. El, the power, the Almighty. El, Hayel, the power. Hayel, El, will stretch the foreskins of the apostates from Yisrael, those who fall away from Yisrael, Israel, and thus will cover the marks of their circumcision. Here, see Matanota Kahuna on the Genesis Rabbah 48 and 8 for the rendition of this verse being brought out. Now, according to Rab Berechiah, El, the Almighty, Ha'el, Hayel, the power, will dispatch an angel, a malak, to Jewish heretics, to the tribe of Judah heretics and Yehudi heretics and apostates, to stretch their foreskins and hide their circumcision. So Gehenna will open for them. Here referred to the Exodus Rabbah 19 and 4. It is true, of every precept we, I and I, are obliged to follow, that I and I do not observe it according to its proper manner and rule. Were we to examine the way each of them is observed amongst us, amongst I and I, it will be difficult to understand why Hakadosh Baruch Hu, why the Holy One, the Isla One, the sanctified, set apart one, blessed be He, continues to sustain us, to sustain I and I, or continues to sustain His world. For we, I and I, hold fast to no precept except the precept of circumcision and the precept of the study of Torah, the study of Torah by school children who are without chet, who are without chatiyat, who are without sin, without forfeiture, lack, uckery. Hence, Ha'el, the power, Ha'elohim, Ha'elohim, said, if not for my covenant and for what is to be studied, day and night, I would not sustain the ordinances of heaven and earth. Here, Jeremiah, Jeremiah chapter 33, verses 25 to 6. Here, hence, Ha'el said, if not for my covenant and for what is to be studied, day and night, I would not sustain the ordinances of heaven and earth. And here, Jeremiah, Jeremiah chapter 33, here, verse 25. Ko hamar Yahuwah, im lo briti, yomama walayla, hukota shamayim wa aretz, lo samti. Thus saith Jehovah, he who be. Ko hamar Yahuwah, if my covenant be not with day and night, lo berit yomam walayla, if my covenant be not with day and night, if I have not appointed the ordinances of heaven and earth, chukot shamayim wa'aretz lo samti. And here brought out in the Midrash to say that Ha'elohim, the power, Ha'elohim said, if not for my covenant and for what is to be studied day and night, im lo bariti yomam walayla, im lo, if not bariti, my covenant, and for what is to be studied, yomam walayla, day and night, I would not sustain the ordinances. I would not sustain the ordinances of heaven and earth. Chukot shamayim wa'aretz lo samti. If not for my covenant and for what is to be studied, yomam walayla, day and night, I would not sustain the ordinances of heaven, of the heavens, and the earthly plane. Ko hamar Yahuwah, im lo bariti yomam walayla, chukot shamayim wa'aretz lo samti.
מזמור ו' למנצח בנגינות על השמינית, מזמור לדוד. אדוני, אל באפך תוכיחני, ואל בחמתך תייסרני. חונני אדוני, כי אומלל אני. רפאני אדוני, כי נבהלו עצמי. ונפשי נבהלה מאוד, ואתה אדוני עד מתי? שובה אדוני חלצה נפשי, הושיעני למען חסדך, כי אין במוות זכרך, בשאול מי יודלך. יגעתי באנחתי, אסחב וכל לילה מיטתי, בדמעתי ערסי אמסה. עששה מכעס עיני, עתקה בכל צורריי. סורו ממני כל פועלי אבן, כי שמע אדוני כל בכי. שמע אדוני תחינתי, אדוני תפילתי ייקח. יבושו ויבהלו מאוד כל אויבי, ישובו יבושו רגע. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד.
Sabbatical study, this I Rastafari sabbatical study for this Shabbat strong, for this double course. Yes. Here we have a double portion right here, the 27th, 28th key. Tazria, when she conceives seed, 27th and 28th for Metzora, one skin disease. So here, double portion, coming forward for this double course. Sabbatical study, this I Rastafari sabbatical study for this Shabbat strong.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, If a woman have conceived seed and born a man-child, then she shall be unclean 7 days. According to the days of the separation for her infirmity, shall she be unclean.
And the Yahweh, he who be who he be, spake to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, If a woman have conceived seed and born a man-child, then she shall be unclean 7 days, according to the days of the separation for her infirmity shall she be unclean. Here we have Leviticus chapter 12, a holy, an Isla set apart, true good, true God, and a holy and Isla, a set apart people. Second item here, the law of motherhood. Rephrase, the Torah, direction, instruction of the mothership of the matrix. Why Daberi Yahweh el Moshe Lemor, and Yahweh spake to Moses, saying, Daber illa b'nei Israel Lemor, speak to the b'nei, the sons, the children of Israel Lemor, saying, Isha ki Tazria, if or when, Isha, a woman, ki, if when Tazria, if when a woman have conceived seed, with Yalda Zakar, Zakar, and born a Zakar, a male, a man child, with Yalda Zakar, with Ama'a Shiba'ata Yamin. Then she shall be unclean 7 days. Ki me nidata dota titama. According to the days of the separation for her infirmity shall she be unclean. And, verse 3, and in the 8th day the flesh of his foreskin shall be circumcised, and she shall then continue in the blood, Hadam, of her purifying 33 days. She shall touch no hollow set apart thing, nor come into the sanctuary
until the days of her purifying be fulfilled. But if she bear a maid child, a woman child, a female, Nekeba, then she shall be unclean 2 weeks, as in her separation, and she shall continue in Hadam, the blood of her purifying, 66 days, 66 days. And when the days of her purifying are fulfilled for a son or for a daughter, she shall bring a lamb of the first year for a burnt offering, and a young pigeon, Yonah, or a turtle dove for a chatat, a sin offering, to the patach, the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, the Ohel Moed, the tent of meeting, to HaKohen, to the priest, who shall offer it lifnei Yahweh, before the Yahweh, and make an atonement for her. And she shall be cleansed from the issue of her blood. This is the law, HaTorah, the direction, the instruction for her that have born a male or a female, a zakar or nekeba. And if she be not able to bring a lamb, then she shall bring 2 turtles or 2 young pigeons, the one for a burnt offering, an olah, and the other for a chatat, a sin, black offering. And HaKohen, the priest, shall make an atonement for her, and she shall be clean, be clean, be clean, be clean, be clean, be clean. Third book of Moshe, Hebrew book called Leviticus, chapter 13. A holy, true, good, true God, Elohim, an Isla, Elohim, and an Isla, holy, set apart people. Third item, leprosy or skin disease, a type of chati'at, a type of sin, as in Romans chapter 6, verses 12 to 14, and John chapter 1, verse 8 as a point of reference. Here, third book of Moses, Hebrew book called Leviticus, Leviticus chapter 13. And the Yahweh spake to Moshe and Aharon, Lemor, saying, when a man shall have in the skin of his flesh a rising, a scab, or bright spot, and it be in the skin of his flesh, like the plague of leprosy, then he shall be brought to Aharon HaKohen, Aaron the priest, or to one of his sons, HaKohanim, the priest. And HaKohen, the priest, shall look on the plague in the skin of the flesh. And when the hair in the plague is turned white, and the plague in sight be deeper than the skin of his flesh, it is a plague of leprosy. The priest HaKohen, the Kahin, shall look on him and pronounce him unclean. If the bright spot be white in the skin of his flesh, and in sight be not deeper than the skin, and the hair thereof be not turned white, then HaKohen, the priest, the Kahin, shall shut up him that hath the plague 7 days. And HaKohen, the priest, the Kahin, shall look on him the 7th day, and hine, behold, neho, if the plague in his sight be at a stay, and the plague spread not in the skin, then HaKohen, the priest, the Kahin, shall shut him up 7 days more. for this double sabbatical study, this I Rastafari sabbatical study for this Shabbat strong.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
I said, what happened to your shirts and blouses?
Third book of Moshe, Hebrew book called Leviticus, chapter 13. A holy, true, good, true God, Elohim, an Isla, Elohim, and an Isla, holy, set apart people. Third item, leprosy or skin disease, a type of chati'at, a type of sin, as in Romans chapter 6, verses 12 to 14, and John chapter 1, verse 8 as a point of reference. Here, third book of Moses, Hebrew book called Leviticus, Leviticus chapter 13. And the Yahweh spake to Moshe and Aharon, Lemor, saying, when a man shall have in the skin of his flesh a rising, a scab, or bright spot, and it be in the skin of his flesh, like the plague of leprosy, then he shall be brought to Aharon HaKohen, Aaron the priest, or to one of his sons, HaKohanim, the priest. And HaKohen, the priest, shall look on the plague in the skin of the flesh. And when the hair in the plague is turned white, and the plague in sight be deeper than the skin of his flesh, it is a plague of leprosy. The priest, HaKohen, the Kahin, shall look on him and pronounce him unclean. If the bright spot be white in the skin of his flesh, and in sight be not deeper than the skin, and the hair thereof be not turned white, then HaKohen, the priest, the Kahin, shall shut up him that hath the plague 7 days. And HaKohen, the priest, the Kahin, shall look on him the 7th day, and hine, behold, no, if the plague in his sight be at a stay, and the plague spread not in the skin, then HaKohen, the priest, the Kahin, shall shut him up 7 days more. And here at this 6th verse, we have the second Aliyah, the second Anaphora or Aliyah here for this Torah portion, reading and feeding, Tazria, for the Shabbat Tazria. The Sheni, Wira HaKohen Oto Bayoma Hashid Be'iyah Shenit Wihine Keha Ha-Nega Wilo Fasa Ha-Nega Be'ora Wihiyaharo HaKohena Nisa Pahat He Wikia Base Be Gadayo With Kahera.
And the priest shall look on him again the 7th day. And behold, if the plague be somewhat dark, and the plague spread not in the skin, the priest shall pronounce him clean. It is but a scab, and he shall wash his clothes, and be clean, and be clean, and be clean, and be clean.
Here for the second Aliyah, Aliyah Sheni, picking up at verse 6, Leviticus 13 and 6, the Sheni. And HaKohen, the priest, the Kahin, shall look on him again the 7th day, and hine, look, see, here it is, and oh, if the plague be somewhat dark, and the plague spread not in the skin, HaKohen, the priest, the Kahin, shall pronounce him clean. It is but a scab, and he shall wash his clothes, and be clean. But if the scab spread much abroad in the skin, after that he hath been seen of HaKohen, the priest, the Kahin, for his cleansing, he shall be seen of HaKohen, the priest, the Kahin, again. And if HaKohen, the Kahin, the priest, see that he nay, look, sight, here it is, the scab spreadeth in the skin, then HaKohen, the priest, the Kahin, shall pronounce him unclean. It is a leprosy. When the plague of leprosy is in a man, then he shall be brought to HaKohen, the priest, the Kahin. And HaKohen shall see him, and he nay, look, sight, here it is, if the rising be white in the skin, and it have turned to here white, and there be quick raw flesh in the rising, it is an old leprosy in the skin of his flesh, and HaKohen, the priest, the Kahin, shall pronounce him unclean, and shall not shut him up, for he is unclean. And if a leprosy break out abroad in the skin, and the leprosy cover all the skin of him that hath the plague from his head even to his foot, wheresoever HaKohen, the priest, the Kahin, looketh, then HaKohen shall consider, and he nay, look, sight, and that, oh, here it is. If the leprosy have covered all his flesh, he shall pronounce him clean that hath the plague. It is all turned white. He is clean. But when raw flesh appeareth in him, he shall be unclean. And HaKohen, the priest, the Kahin, shall see the raw flesh and pronounce him to be unclean. For the raw flesh is unclean. It is a leprosy. Or if the raw flesh turn again and be changed to white, he shall come to HaKohen. And HaKohen, the priest, the Kahin, shall see him. And he may, look, see, here it is, in that hole. If the plague be turned into white, then HaKohen shall pronounce him clean that hath the plague. He is clean. And here we're at the third aliyah, the third aliyah for Shabbat Tazria, the Shalishi, third aliyah, picking up with verse 18. Ubasar, Kia Yihye, Boa Be'oro, Shechina we Nirapa, Ba.
The flesh also in which even in the skin thereof was a boil, and is healed, 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 and is healed.
Picking up here at verse 18 for the Shalishi, the third aliyah, Leviticus 13, verse 18. The flesh also, in which even in the skin thereof was a boil, and is healed. And in the place of the boil, there be a white rising, or a bright spot, white, or somewhat reddish, and it be shewed to HaKohen, the priest, the Kahin. And if when the Kahin seeth it, behold, it be in sight lower than the skin, and the hair thereof be turned white, HaKohen, the Kahin, the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a plague of leprosy broken out of the boil. But if the Kahin look on it, and he may, oh, look, see, here it is. There be no white hairs therein, and if it be not lower than the skin, but be somewhat dark, then HaKohen, the priest, the Kahan, shall shut him up 7 days. And if it spread much abroad in the skin, then the Kahan shall pronounce him unclean. It is a plague. But if the bright spots stay in his place and spread not, it is a burning broil. And HaKohen, the Kahan, the priest, shall pronounce him clean, 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 clean.
Spake unto Moses and Aaron, saying, When a man shall have in the skin of his flesh a rising, a scab or bright spot, and it be in the skin of his flesh like the plague of leprosy, then he shall be brought unto Aaron the priest, or unto one of his sons the priests. And the priest shall look on the plague in the skin of the flesh. And when the hair in the plague is turned white, and the plague in sight be deeper than the skin of his flesh, it is a plague of leprosy. And the priest shall look on him and pronounce him unclean. If the bright spot be white in the skin of his flesh, and in sight be not deeper than the skin, and the hair thereof be not turned white, then the priest shall shut up him that hath the plague 7 days. And the priest shall look on him the 7th day, and behold, if the plague in his sight be at a stay, and the plague spread not in the skin, then the priest shall shut him up 7 days more. And the priest shall look on him again the 7th day. And behold, if the plague be somewhat dark, and the plague spread not in the skin, the priest shall pronounce him clean. It is but a scab, and he shall wash his clothes and be clean. But if the scab spread much abroad in the skin, after that he hath been seen of the priest for his cleansing, he shall be seen of the priest again. And if the priest see that, behold, the scab spreadeth in the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a leprosy. When the plague of leprosy is in a man, then he shall be brought unto the priest. And the priest shall see him. And behold, if the rising be white in the skin, and it have turned the hair white, and there be quick raw flesh in the rising, it is an old leprosy in the skin of his flesh, and the priest shall pronounce him unclean, and shall not shut him up, for he is unclean. And if a leprosy break out abroad in the skin, and the leprosy cover all the skin of him that hath the plague, from his head even to his foot, wheresoever the priest looketh, then the priest shall consider. And behold, if the leprosy have covered all his flesh, he shall pronounce him clean that hath the plague. It is all turned white. He is clean. But when raw flesh appeareth in him, he shall be unclean. And the priest shall see the raw flesh, and pronounce him to be unclean. For the raw flesh is unclean. It is a leprosy. Or if the raw flesh turn again, and be changed unto white, he shall come unto the priest. And the priest shall see him. And behold, if the plague be turned into white, then the priest shall pronounce him clean that hath the plague. He is clean. The flesh also in which even in the skin thereof was a boil, and is healed, and in the place of the boil there be a white rising, or a bright spot, white and somewhat reddish, and it be showed to the priest. And if when the priest seeth that, behold, it be in sight lower than the skin, and the hair thereof be turned white, the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a plague of leprosy broken out of the boil. But if the priest look on it, and behold, there be no white hairs therein, and if it be not lower than the skin, but be somewhat dark, then the priest shall shut him up 7 days. And if it spread much abroad in the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a plague. But if the bright spot stay in his place and spread not, it is a burning boil, and the priest shall pronounce him clean.
You know, there's a story about when Pharaoh heard that there was going to be a redeemer for the Israelites. He asked the one of the guys to come and draw. He said, "I want to see what the redeemer is going to look like." And so everybody that came in and drew a picture, he had them killed. And then finally, after like 5 guys getting killed, the 5th guy's like, "Listen, you know, I see the same thing these guys see." He says, "No, this picture that you're drawing, this person looks disgusting, looks ugly, looks dark. This can't be this great redeemer that you're talking about." But it was.
Black and proud, tell the world, fearfully and wonderfully made, and wonderfully made. And wonderfully, me tell you, black and proud to be black. Me not bleach me face and me not dye me not feel shit. Black and she proud and she naturally, yeah. She not put in no implants cause she born with that. Yo, me not bleach me face cause me love how God made me. Not dye me naps cause me love how God made me. Not chase me nose with no plastic surgery. Me black and me proud and me love. She not do no to me to cause she love how God made me. Not put in no implants like Wendy and Betsy. Fear body parts and swear say them sexy. Me black and me proud and me love how God respect me. Your people inspect me. Look how me trash and Jesus Christ rest me. And all the girl them out and road still a text, but my girl text them, but yes the Lord really bless me. Them a lot do anything to impress me. Tommy fuck and even plastic surgery, breast implant and buttocks implant. What next them a go plant on the young lady? I know your hands them black like the Wesley, and your face white like the Elvis Presley. You are bleed, road why bleach face so sexy. Black is beautiful, yes, black is beautiful. Me now bleach me face cause me love how God made me. Not dye me naps cause me love how God made me. Not chase me nose with no plastic surgery. Me black and me proud and me love how God made me. Do not to me to cause she love how God made me. Now putting no implants like Wendy and Betsy. Fear body parts and swear say them sexy. Me black and me proud of it. You have self-esteem, girl, no confidence. You know you look good in it, no compliment. No boy can kick in on your face because I am paid the rent. You rather be a single and live under a tent cause you don't go put up with domestic violence. Cause God send you down on a big assignment. No boy can't treat you like you don't have no sense cause you could be the next black president. Look out for the bully, them and the fake friends. Nobody make nobody tell you to kill yourself cause we only have one life to live. No make faith and tell me jump over on a bridge. Yo, me not bleach me face cause me love how God made me. Not dye me naps cause me love how God made me. Not chase me nose with no plastic surgery. Me black and me proud and me love how God made me. Do not to me to cause she love how God made me. Not putting no implants like Wendy and Betsy. Fear body parts and swear say them sexy. Me black and me proud and me love how God made me. Me not bleach me face cause me love how God made me. Not dye me naps cause me love how God made me. Not chase me nose with no plastic surgery. Me black and me proud and me love how God made me. Do not to me to cause she love how God made me. Not putting no implants like Wendy and Betsy. Fear body parts and swear say them sexy. Me black and me proud and me love how God made me. Black and proud to be black. Me not bleach me face and me not dye me not feel shit. Black and she proud and she naturally, yeah. She not put in no implants cause she born with that.
What's up, family? This is your man, not your boy, Gold Black 2 Africa. So I want to share this video right here with you all so that you all can see that even the hidden agendas of what was kept from us as a people, why we understand now why it was illegal to read. You know, it was illegal for a slave to read. It was illegal for them to learn even how to interpret the Bible that was given. But most importantly, knowing how to read Hebrew was the ultimate hidden agenda. That's why when you read in the Torah from the Hebraic edition or the Talmud, you're going to find majority of us don't know how to read. Shout out to my Hebrew Israelites out there who delved in, who speak it eloquently, those out there who are very fluent in Hebrew, who are bringing out what these sources, these writings are saying. Take the video out and I'll be back.
Africa has perhaps hundreds of millions of people with this identity right now of being from the people of Israel. Does that mean they were from the 10 tribes? Likely not. We were taught by the historians and within our own traditions that when the Romans conquered Judea, a few hundred years after that the tribes of Israel went into exile, perhaps millions of Judeans were sold into slavery, into Africa, into Rome, deep into Africa. And if you look now, you're seeing people who are most likely the descendants of those slaves who kept true. I like to bring up a few specific examples because they're going to be game changers. One of them wrote letters to Israel when it became a state. And they said, we're Israelites out in Africa. You know, everyone laughs at them and they said, African Israelites. These people are just trying to jump on the first world country bandwagon. They're living in a third world country. They got nothing. We're coming to Israel. We got innovation, technology. So they're trying to get on this train because there's such a thing called the right of return. All descendants of the Jewish people from around the world are able to move to Israel. So they said we are also. And everyone kind of laughed at them, like I said. And a few people took it serious and went out there and started studying them, learned about their culture. And a professor from Duke University went out there and did DNA testing on them. And he showed not only do they share Semitic genes from people who were in Yemen and back to the Middle East, these gentlemen, a large percent of them, have the Y chromosome to be Kohanim, to be priests. Now, if anyone who doesn't know, a priest is a specific family clan of the nation of Israel who come from Aaron, the brother of Moses, who was the first priest. And anyone descended from Aaron has the status title priest. And we found that these men in this village in South Africa called Lemba, L-E-M-B-A, carry this genetic marker to let us know that they share the same as from the Sephardic and the Ashkenaz and the population of the people in Israel today. They share the same exact DNA marker. That's mind-blowing. So everyone kind of got humbled a little bit who laughed at them and said, now what? Now what do we do about this? This could have tremendous implications. Another area in Africa you have something big happening is in Nigeria. You have the Igbo people, or Igbo, pronounced either way. There's 40 million of them, also Christians, like I spoke about before, how that could happen to the children of Israel very easily. But also a lot of them are now coming out and converting back or adopting the rules of the Torah without all the paganism that they've been practicing for hundreds of years. There's been books written about it from scholars in Nigeria, from scholars from the Jewish people. And where it gets interesting is, in America, there was a slave trade. And a lot of the slaves, a very high percentage of them, came from Western Nigerian ports. And in America today, you see a very large movement of African Americans who say that they're the real chosen people, that they're the children of Israel, they're the Judeans. You know, so what are they just trying to create an identity for themselves because they were slaves, or is there really something here? And the answer is most likely there is something there. And most likely, maybe that they were the original Israelites, and maybe that the Jewish people today who are white, Caucasian people came in a little bit later on. We know that some of the greatest sages of the transmission of the Torah were converts from Rome. You have a man named Onkelos who wrote a commentary on the Torah, unprecedented, that we still learn today. He was a convert. Some of the largest pillars on the transmission today were Roman converts. So here we are, we're Caucasian Jewish people, and now you have people in Africa saying that they're the real people of Israel. It can't be ruled out at all. We know they were sold into slavery. We know now that they're fulfilling prophecies by saying, we're coming back. We want to rejoin the nation.
Because I know people are waiting for this information, so I'm going to get this to them. This is right here. It's about the text. So this is when it was composed, okay, during the time of 630 C and 1030 CE. Okay, this is the history this is how old it goes back. And this is what the Jewish people use today. All right, so now we're going to go to Perkei Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer is one of their most revered rabbis in the Talmudic literature. Okay. All right, so we're going to go to, contents, chapter 24. Okay, so chapter 24. So again, remember, Safaria, Perkei, the Rabbi Eliezer, chapter 24. We're going to go to chapter 24, and it talks about Nimrod and the Tower of Babel. Nimrod and the Tower of Babel. We're going to read it in English first, and then I'm going to read it for y'all in Hebrew. I'm going to enlarge it. Okay, brother Logic, can you start to read, please? Again, the Rabbi Eliezer, Perkei, Rabbi Eliezer, paragraph or section 24, Nimrod in the Tower of Babel. Write this down, family. Write it down. Okay, important.
Nimrod in the Tower of Babel. Noah brought his sons and his grandsons, and he blessed them with their several settlements. And he gave them as an inheritance all the earth. He especially blessed Shem and his sons.
He especially blessed Shem. Now this is about who we are. They want to say anti-Semitic, right? Read, go ahead.
He especially blessed Shem and his sons, making them dark but comely. And he
blessed them, not making them, we're going to read it in Hebrew, to be what?
Dark but comely.
Dark but comely.
And he gave them the habitable earth. He blessed Ham and his sons, making them dark like the raven.
Ham was blacker than Shem, but Shem was black. Ham was darker. Go ahead, let's look at Japheth.
And he gave them as an inheritance the coast of the sea. He blessed Japheth and his sons, making them entirely white.
This is their book, family. Write it down. This is their book. Shem is black, Ham is dark black, and Japheth is white.
That's right.
So says the rabbis that they go by. And these were written for the time of our ancestors in Babylon, y'all. So we're going to show you. First, I want to show y'all the word in Strong, Shakor, 7835. This is why they don't want us knowing Hebrew, y'all. Okay? All right. Okay, so now it's on the screen. Let me see if I can enlarge it. I might not be able to with this, but this is what we're looking at, okay? 87835 on the screen. Shakar, a primitive group through the idea of duskiness or early dawn to be dim or dark in color. But what does it mean here, family? What does it say? To be black. To be black. To be black. Shakor means that you are black. Okay?
Yes.
The letters are Sheen, Kaf, and Resh. Shakor. That's the root. Sheen, Kaf, Resh. Okay, if it's plural, if it means many people are black, it would be Shakorim. Sheen, K, Resh, Yod, Metrophi. But commonly, no, it says he made them black and beautiful. Black and beautiful is what it says, not dark and comely. Black and beautiful. All right, so let's read it in Hebrew. All right, Barak Lashem, and he blessed Shem. Ubanayawa, Orim, to be black, of this word here. So he made Shem and his sons black with Naim. Naim means pleasant, comely, beautiful. Let's show them Naim. We have on the word on the screen here, Hebrew word 5,000, Nahweh. Nahweh means to be suitable or beautiful, to be comely or seemly. Okay, that means to be beautiful, attractive, fair to look upon. Naim, all right, means to be beautiful. All right, so Shekorim with Naim, black and beautiful. So this is what we're reading. Again, we're reading from the Talmud. All right, we are in, let me show you the chapter 24, right, of Rabbi De Eliezer, chapter 24, okay? Nimrod in the Tower of Babel. This is how you spell Ham in Hebrew. Chet Mem. And to Ham, Ubaniah, and to his children, Shekorim Ke-Orev. He is black like a raven. So the Hamites were jet black. Shem is black. Ham is jet black. Okay? With Han-Hilam, and they shall inherit Kuf Hayam, the edge of the sea. Barak le-Yafet. This is how we say Japhet in Hebrew, Yafet. So the blessing for Japhet, Ubaniah, and to his children, Kulam Livani. So they would be white. This is how you say white in Hebrew. I'm going to show y'all. Lavan. This is the root, okay? Lamet Beit Nun, to be white, okay? Lavan, to be white. Okay, Lavan is white, so Livane, okay? Well, Yahweh, okay? So let's read that. He blessed Japhet and his sons, making them entirely white. And he gave them for an inheritance the deserts and the fields. These are the inheritances with which he endowed them. Let me show y'all again the site. We are on Safaria. This is where Living Library of Torah. Safaria is home to 3,000 years of Jewish text. We are a nonprofit organization offering free access to text translations and commentaries so that everyone, that means us too, right? So that everyone can participate in the ongoing process of studying, interpreting, and creating Torah. Darak Ellis, thank you. We appreciate the support. Y'all bless you, family.
What do you think? You know, interesting enough, many of us wouldn't even know this, that this is exactly what they know it says. How is it that for 5, 6 to 1,000 years, when they decided to do the switch, you know, the bait and switch, to go ahead and slide in and remove you out the way and then say that you are this and yet they are this. Now, I'm not saying everybody out here had that intentions or the motives, but we do know that those who were the leaders back then wanted to put us aside, wanted to go ahead and change our name, change the identity, and then those reap the benefits from thereof, when we know that even today's society that over in Israel receives billions of dollars from the sympathies of their horrific Holocaust that happened to them from around the world. But what do we reap? What do we have? What do we have for what we endure, our people? It's time for us to get wiser, to educate ourselves, and really get into this whole identity thing. Now, some people don't think that, oh, it don't matter. These people are ignorant. You see, when there was a spiritual blessing given to a people, and you have one that might come in and say, I rightfully should be able to receive the wealth that's passed on to you. You know, If your mama and daddy left you something and somebody comes up and says, well, I deserve part of it too, you would be in uproar. But I'm saying that what's rightfully yours, we can learn that even there were those who could take away birthrights and step in and try to receive blessings. Stay abreast and in tune. I'm going to go ahead and show many of the videos that I've run across over the years that I'm going to resurface to show that there is an error. There was an attempt. There was this idea that we are not who the ancient writings, the scriptures, the scrolls say that we're not. Let's wake up. Come to the truth, family. This is your man, not your boy. Go black to Africa.
Think about it. 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 Think about it.
You know we are Israelites. You know we are Israelites. You know we are Israelites.
Give thanks unto the black Christ, evil road boy, everything takes time. Yeah, don't seduce to reduce my knowledge, because I will always break down barriers and burn down bandits. Oh Lord God Almighty, grant me all privilege. You see, I have to overcome all wicked, them and them fast things. I have no white God, don't teach me anything wrong. Who the white God save me from white man oppression? I have no white God, it's just some black messiah. Oh my God, don't bless, so him not bless me. I have no white God, don't teach me anything wrong. Who the white God save me from white man oppression? I have no white God, it's just some black messiah. If a white God don't bless, so him not bless. I want what is rightful mine, so me not stay mute. Your system is designed to distract me from the truth, but it will come to pass. Unknown unto the youth, in the process of time, we will know the truth. So give we white God to face this slavery. The doctrine follow on in the black community. The black messiah you try to steal with fantasy, but we not gonna make you destroy the love with luxury. That's why you have to touch home. I have no place in Babylon. As I go, they make me victim of the righteous action. Oh God, I won't be conquered in the street, God. Oh yes, I have to stand and go strong. Don't tell me of your white God. Don't teach me anything wrong. Who the white God save me from white man oppress? I have no white God. It's just a black messiah. White God don't bless, so him not bless. Oh, me face contrast with anger, cause that no right. Oh, good all things, good and valuable must be white. So, what about the black that is the most in life? You want your white supremacy. What is me and you take the version of the Bible. Oh, you want it? Remember, I know the evil won't go unpunished. Fear your iniquity, you have no wisdom or wit. All evil people shall think in I have no white God. Don't teach me anything wrong. Who the white God save me from white man oppression? I have no white God. It's just a black messiah. If a white God are blessed, I'm not blessed. I have no white God. Don't tell me anything wrong. Who the white Selassie is a master, yeah, for the enemies are confounded. Selassie is a Rastafari. Abagada Awazasha Taya Kaya Manasai Fataya Warashata. Evil boy, everything takes time. Evil
a different interpretation of for the leader, the chief musician, with string music on the sheminit, on the eighth, the phrase on the sheminit, al hasheminit. It alludes to the 4 dispersions of Yisrael, the 4 diasporas and dispersions of Yisrael under 8 kingdoms. Edom being the 8th. Of the 8 kingdoms, it is written in Daniel chapter 2, verses 31 to 33, thou, O king, sawest, and behold a great image. This image that was mighty, whose brightness was surpassing, stood before thee, and the appearance thereof was terrible, was dreadful. As for this image, its head was of fine gold, its breasts and its arms of silver, its belly and its thigh of brass, its legs of iron, its feet part of iron and part of clay. By arms is meant 2 kingdoms. By thighs, 2 kingdoms. By legs, 2 kingdoms. And by feet, 2 kingdoms. 8 shemin, 8 in all. Babylon, Chaldea, Media, Persia, Greece, Macedon or Macedon, Ishmael, and Edom. According to Rav Abel, the congregation of Israel says to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, on the day when thou wilt have gathered us out of the 8 dispersions, on the day of that it is said, Yahweh, Jehovah will set his hand, Yado, again, the 2nd time, to recover the remnant of his people that shall remain from Assyria and from Egypt and from Patros and from Cush and from Elam and from Shinar and from Hamat and from the Isles, the islands of the sea. Yeshayahu, Isaiah 11:11. Isaiah 11:11. On that day, we shall sing a psalm of praise to thee, I. And because 8 kingdoms are named in this verse, therefore it is said, La menatzayach bi neginot al ha-sheminit. Therefore it is said for the leader, for the chief musician, La menatzayach, for the overcomer, with stringed music, bi neginot, binginot, on the sheminit, al ha-sheminit, on the 8th. Concerning another interpretation of al hasheminit, on the sheminit, on the 8th, 2 Amoraim differed. One said the phrase refers to 8 laws, 6 laws that were given to Adam, as intimated by the verse in Genesis 2:16, and Yahweh Elohim commanded Adam, saying, of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat. A 7th law that was given to Noah, forbidding the eating of flesh cut from a living animal, and an 8th law that was given to Abraham concerning circumcision. Another Amorah maintained the phrase al hasheminit, on the sheminit, refers to circumcision that is obligatory on the
8th day, Bayom Hashmini, after an infant's birth. Yahuwah Allah be'apeka tokeheni, we Allah b'hamatika te yasareini. O Jehovah, rebuke I not in thine anger, neither chasten I in thy wrath. Yo Allah ba'apeka tokeheni. Rebuke I not in thine anger. Allah ba'apika tokeheni, wa Allah ba'chematika te yasareini. Neither chasten, discipline I in thy wrath. Wa Allah ba'chematika te yasareini. Rav Yudan taught in the name of Rav Ami, the aggregation of Yisrael, says to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ribon Shella Olamim, Master of the universe, the universal Master, although it is written, whom Jehovah loveth, he rebuketh, in Proverbs 3:12. Rebuke I not in thine anger. Allah be'apeka tokeheni. Rebuke I not in thine anger. And although it is written in Psalm 94:12, happy Ashrei. Happy is the man whom thou, the eye, chasteneth. Happy is the man who thou, the eye, disciplineth. Chasten me, chasten I not in thy wrath. With al ba'chamiteka, with al ba'chamateka te yasreini. Vala ba'chamateka te yasreini. Chasten I not in thy wrath, not in the eye. Chemat, chama, ba'chamateka, wa al ba'chamateka te yasreini. Here too, Rav Yochanan told a parable. Here too, Rav Yochanan told a masha of a melech, of a king, who had two cruel inquisitors. Whenever the Negus, the king, was angry at a province, he used to chastise it with them, these two cruel inquisitors. One day, Hamelech, the king, the Negus's own province, provoked his displeasure. And as he was about to summon his inquisitors to chasten, to chastise, to discipline harshly the people, Ha'am, of the province, began to plead with him. Adonai, Melech, O king, we beseech thee, chastise us, chastise I and I, in any way thou desirest to chastise us, other than with those two. Even so, Amo Yisrael, the people of Yisrael, say to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be He, Ribona Shel HaOlamim, Master of the universe, rebuke I not with thine anger, neither chasten I with thy wrath. Yahuwah Allah be'apeka tokeheni, wa Allah ba'chematika te yasareini. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu replies, if not, what am I to do with anger and with wrath thereupon Almo Yisrael, the people of Israel, say, thou hast nations, the Goyim, upon whom to pour these out, as it is written in Psalm 79:6, pour out thy wrath upon Hagoyim, upon the nations, the Gentiles, the international community that know thee not, and upon the kingdoms, the governments that call not upon Shemekah, upon the I name. And heeding Amo Yisrael HaKadosh Baruch Hu declares, according to Micah 5:14, I will execute vengeance in anger and wrath upon Hagoyim, upon the nations, the Gentiles, the international community of Israel. However, what does Scripture say? In Hosea 11:9, 119 of Israel, Scripture says, I will not execute the fierceness of mine anger. I will not return to destroy Ephraim, and I will not come in wrath. And in Isaiah 27:4, wrath is not in me. Wrath is not in I. Rav Eliezer said, with whom may Elohim in his punishment of Yisrael be compared with a melech, with a king, a negus, even negus, who became angry at his son, and at that moment holding in his hand an unsheathed Indian sword, swore that he would whip it across his son's head. But then Hamelech, then the king, the negus, even negus neges, softened and said, if I whip it across my son's head, my son's rosh, my son's ras, his life will go, and there will be no one to inherit my kingdom. And yet, it is impossible for me to revoke my royal word. What did Hamelech do? What did Negus Neges do? He put the sword back into its sheath and then whipped it across his son's head, his son's rosh, his son's ras. And so his son was spared, and his royal word was kept. Rav Hanina taught Elohim may be compared with a melech, a king, a negus, even negus neges, who became angry at Beno, his son, and seeing at that moment a large stone before him, swore that he would throw it at Beno, his son. But then Hamelech, the king, negus, even negus neges, said, if I throw it at Beni, my son, then his life will go. What did Hamelech, what did negus neges do? He ordered that the stone be broken up into small stones, and that these be thrown one by one at his son, so that Hamelech, the negus, even negus neges, spared Beno, his son, and yet kept his royal oath. Rav Simeon ben Lakish said, Elohim may be compared with Melech, negus, even negus neges, who became angry at Beno, his son, and there being at that moment a rope near him, swore that with the rope in his hand, he would give his son 100 blows. And then Hamelech said, if my sons receive 100 blows, then his life will go. What did Hamelech? What did Negus and Neges do? He coiled the rope 100 times and just struck his son once with the coiled rope, so that he spared his son and yet kept his royal word. The Rebbeinu, the Memheran, the rabbis, the scholars taught the king Hamelech took the rope and wrapped it gently around Beno's, his son's neck. By these comparisons, may I and I interpret the verse. O Jah, rebuke I not in thine anger, neither chasten, neither discipline I in thy wrath. Yahweh, Allah be'atika tokecheni, wa Allah ba'hamatika tiyasreini. Chaneni Yahweh ki lalani refaini Yahweh ki niva hello. It's Amai, have mercy upon I, O Jehovah, for I am weak. O Jehovah, heal me, heal I, for my bones are vexed. Chaneni Yahweh, ki lalani. Have mercy, Chaneni Yahweh. Lalani. Have mercy upon me, upon I, O Jehovah. Lalani, for I am weak. Rifaini Hoa. O Jehovah, heal I. Rifaini Hoa. Heal I, O Jehovah. Kia niba hello, it's amai, for my bones are vexed. A mashal, misalia, a parable of a man who was seized by robbers. Every one of them struck him with whatever weapon he had. One with his hand, another with his fist, another with a stone, and another with a stick, until he managed to slip away from them. Only when he reached his house and fell into his bed did he cry out, "Oh, my bones! Oh, my bones! My bones! Oh, my bones!" Even so do Ha-Goyim, do the Goyim, the nations, the Gentiles, the heathen of the world, subject the B'nai Yisrael, the children, the sons of Yisrael, to all kinds of cruel servitude, persecutions, false prosecutions, and evil decrees, that the B'nai Yisrael, the children, the sons of Yisrael, suffer in silence. Only when the time, the hour for the rebuilding of Ha-Hekal, of the temple, comes, may it be soon, and in our and in I and I days, will Yisrael, will Israel speak out before Lifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, before the holy, the Isla One. Blessed be He. Chaneni Yehovah, ki lalani, rifaini Yehovah, Kia Niba Haloa, it's Amai. Have mercy upon I, O Jehovah, for I am weak. O Jehovah, heal me, heal I, for I bones are vexed. My soul is also sore troubled. But thou, O Jehovah, with nafshi niva helam od, with ata Yahweh Adamatai, with ata Yahweh Admatai. My soul is also sore vexed with nafshi, niva halo od. My soul she is also sore troubled with nafshi, niva halla, with nafshi, niva hala meod. My soul, my psyche, she is very much sore troubled with nafshi niva meod. But the I, with ata Yahweh Adamatai, but the I, O Jehovah Adamatai. How long? That is, according to Rebbe, thou, the I, has promised I deliverance, saying in Psalm 91:15, I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him. What is meant by the words Admatai? What is meant by the words Admatai? Admatai. How long? In answer, Rava Kahana told a mashal, a misalia, a parable, a proverb of a sick man who was in need of treatment by physicians. The sick man kept saying, when will the physician come? At the 4th hour, the 5th hour, the 6th, or the 7th? But the physician did not come. The 8th, 9th, and 10th hours passed by. Still none came. Still no one came. And only as the sun was setting was a physician seen approaching. The sick man said, if thou hast delayed thy coming by another instant, my soul, now she would have left me. She would have left I. So too David cried out when he saw the cruelty of the kingdoms continuing in affliction of Amo Yisrael, of the people of Yisrael. He exclaimed, Wa'ata Yahweh Admatai, O thou Jehovah, how long? Adamatai, thou who art my healer, delayest thy coming to me. Shuvah Yahweh Khalfah Nashi Hoshainia Lit Ma'ana Chatzedeka. Return, O Jehovah, rescue my soul, save I, because of the eye, loving kindness. All mine enemies shall be put to shame and sore trouble. They shall turn backward. They shall be put to shame suddenly. Here. In the 11th verse, Hebraically, of today's daily psalm, according to the royal order, Mizmor Wow, Mizmor Vav. All mine enemies shall be put to shame. Yevoshu, where ye bahlo meod. Koloivaya Yashuvua, Yevoshu, Raga, Raga, Raga. They shall turn back. They shall be put to shame suddenly. Suddenly. The Rebbenat, the Memheran, the scholars of Torah, the rabbis taught, in the Olam Haba, in the time, the world to come, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be, he will take the righteous and let them see Gehenna with empty places in it, saying, these empty places were held ready for you. It is only by good deeds that you have won merit and have inherited the Gan Ba'aden, the Ganet Eden, the Garden of Eden, the Garden of Delights. Elohim will also take the wicked, the ratchet, and let them see the Gan Ba'aden, the Garden of Delights, the Garden of Eden, the Ganet Eden, with empty places in it, saying, these places were held ready for you, but by your evil deeds you have condemned yourselves and have inherited Gehenna. Rav Yehoshua ben Levi taught HaKadosh Baruch Hu will curse the wicked, the ratchet, with no more than awareness of their shame, of their shame, of their shame. The Holy One, the Isla One, Baruch Hu, blessed be he, will curse the ratchet, the wicked, with no more than awareness of their shame. Nay, more, he will double this curse of his upon them. As it is said, all mine enemies shall be put to shame and sore trouble. They shall turn back. They shall be put to shame suddenly. Yevoshu, with yibahalo meod, kolo oivaya, yashuvu, yevoshu, raga, when he blesses the righteous, but when he blesses the righteous, he will double his baraka, his blessing of them, as is said in Joel and Joel chapter 2, verses 26 to 27. And ye and y'all shall eat in plenty and be satisfied. And me, my people, shall never be ashamed. And ye and y'all shall know that I am in the midst of Israel. And me, my people, shall never be ashamed. Another comment on Yahuwah, Allah be'apika tokicheni wa Allah ba'chematika te yasareini. O Jehovah, rebuke I not in thine anger, neither nigh the chasten, discipline I in thy wrath. Elsewhere, this is what Scripture says in Proverbs 23:13. Withhold not correction from the child. For if thou beatest him with the rod, he will not die. Withhold not correction from the child. For if thou beatest him with the rod, he will not die. That is, when you beat your child, beat him with nothing heavier than a rod, lest he dies. As the next verse says, thou shalt beat him with the rod, and shalt deliver nafsho,
his soul, his psyche from the netherworld. Proverbs 23:14. When not given in anger, chastisement is good. When not given in anger, chastisement is good. As Jeremiah said, O Lord Jehovah, correct I, but in measure, not in thine anger, lest thou bring me to nothing. In Jeremiah 10:24, hence, heya, Allah be'apika tokecheni, rebuke I not in thine anger. Wa Allah ba'chematika tiyasrein, neither chasten I in thy wrath. For anger and wrath are two executioners. For anger, apika, and wrath, chematika, are two executioners. As scripture says in Proverbs 16:14, the wrath of Hamelech, the wrath of the king, the wrath of the Negus, even Negus and Neges, is as messengers of Mavet, of Mawet, of Mot, is as messengers of death. And as Moses said, I was in dread of the anger and wrath wherewith Jehovah was wroth, was wrathed against you to destroy you. In Devarim and Deuteronomy 9:19. Hence, heya al bi'apika, rebuke I not in thine anger. Allah be'apika tokiheni, neither chasten I, discipline I in thy wrath, in thy hot fury, in thy wrath. With Allah ba'chematika yasrein. This means chastisement is good, discipline is good, but I have not enough strength to withstand anger or wrath, to withstand thy anger, be'apika, or thy wrath, ba'chematika. A comment on the verse, I am weary with my groaning. Every night make I my bed to swim. I water my couch with my tears. Yaga'eti be anachaltia asacher be kolaila miyat atia be dima ati arsi arse amse arsi amse. I am weary with my sighing. I am weary with my sighing. Yaga'etiya bi anachati. Every night I make my bed. I make my bed swim. I make my bed to swim. Asacher v'kol layla niyatati. I dissolve my couch with my tears. I dissolve my couch with my tears. B'dima'ati arsiya to the sages, Rav Zachariah ben Hakasa spoke thus, like this, by this temple, by this Haykal, I swear that from the time the Iowa that the heathen, the Goyim, the nation, the international community came into the sanctuary until the time the Iowa that they left it, my wife's hand did not leave my hand. But the sages said to him, no man may testify in his own behalf. He then began to weep, so that he watered his couch with his tears. For he knew that Ishto, his wife, his Eshet, his Oset, was undefiled. Yet, because of the sage's edict, he would never again be alone with her. And he applied to himself the verse, I am weary with my groaning. Every night make I my bed to swim. I water my couch with my tears. Yagaitia be anahatia. Asaheb kol laila mitati. Be dimaatia arsia amse. A different Targum interpretation of I am weary with my groaning. I am weary with my sighing. Yag'iti be'anachati with my sighing, my groaning. David said these words of himself at the time the Iowa of the incident with Bathsheba. And he went on. He said, mine eye is consumed. My eye is dim with grief. My eye is consumed because of grief. Ashasha, Mia Ka'as Aini. Ashasha, mi ka'as aini. My eye, aini is dim. Ashisha, with grief. Mi ka'as, great grief, great ka'as. For people were saying of him, look at this man who murdered the shepherd, took his ewe lamb, and made Israel die by the sword of the children of Ammon. And yet he is a prince in Israel. I wept so much that my vision was dimmed, and my eye was consumed. As Job 13:28 says, like a garment eaten up by age. Here, Genesis 12:8. Mine eye waxeth old, atika, because of all mine enemies. By atika is meant that the light of the eye went out. As in the verse, he went out, waya etek, from there to the mountain. Shama Yahweh Techinati, Yahweh Tefilati Yikah. Jehovah have heard my supplication. Yahweh Jehovah receives my prayer. My prayer is favorably received. Shama Yahweh Techinati. Shama Jehovah hath heard my supplication. Techinati, my supplication. Shama Yahweh Techinati. David David said to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ribon Shel HaOlamim, Master of the universe, a mortal king, a mortal Negus, a mortal Melech has servants who receive the petitions that are handed into him. But I pray that Elohim himself will receive my petition. Hence, he concluded the verse with Yahuwah Tefilati Yikach. Jehovah receives my prayer. Yahweh Tefilati Yikach. Yahweh Tefilati Yikach. Yahweh Tefilati Yikach. Jehovah will receives my prayer favorably received.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.